Breaking news from the NFL into the Fanfare newsfeed.
Got some breaking news for you. Tua Tagovailoa is going to finally break his silence, and you won't believe who he's breaking it with. Tua Tagovailoa is going to do a huge interview at the Super Bowl, and we're all about to hear what's been going on.
By the way, sources say that our guest list next week in Phoenix includes, on Friday,
Tua
Tagovailoa.
Boom.
How about that?
Yep.
How about that?
That's awesome.
All those people out there that think we hate him and he hates us. We don't hate him. We like him. We want what's best for him. We're trying to pierce through the chatter and the noise and get people to understand what the fundamental issue is here so that he can have a long and successful career. And he played extremely well this year.
He did.
We said that time and time again. He was an MVP candidate for part of the season.
It's big news that Tua Tagovailoa is going to do an interview at the Super Bowl, but it might be bigger news when you find out who he's doing the interview with. I bet if I gave you 10 guesses, you would have never said that Tua is going to sit down at the Super Bowl with Mike Florio and Chris Sims. Yeah, you heard that right. Tua is going to do an interview at the Super Bowl with Mike Florio and Chris Sims. The cuts from their recent video really sets the stage for what I think is going to be an eye-opening interview. Listen to this.
The question is, can he avoid the next one? And this is where the Dolphins are kind of clumsily circling the wagons. Remember they said a couple of weeks ago, he's no more susceptible than anyone else to a concussion. Well, okay, fine, but he is, because he's not protecting himself from getting thrown to the ground and having his helmet strike the turf, and he gets a concussion. That's where he's more susceptible to it because of his style of play.
Right.
He's not protecting himself. The physics aren't in his favor. So big, large, strong, 300-pound linebacker, lineman, somebody grabs him and tackles him legally, and he whipsaws back and his head hits the ground, and you get a concussion.
Tua obviously knows who he's sitting down with. Florio and Sims have been kind of hard on Tua and the Dolphins for almost a whole season. And I've had many of the same questions that Florio and Sims have. Questioning Tua and the Miami Dolphins and how they handled the Tua situation does not mean you're a hater. Actually, it's absolutely normal.
It's great that he's 100%. It's great that he'll be 100%. How long is he going to stay 100%? That's the real question. Is he going to change his style and protect himself, Chris? And nobody's addressed that.
No, I think you raise a good point there. Yeah, maybe not susceptible in the fact of, okay, he's had 3 concussions and that makes him more susceptible to have the 4th.
Sims just said an ongoing fallacy that's been going around out there. As far as we know, Tua has only had 2 confirmed concussions. It will be interesting to hear how Tua responds when this comes up, if it comes up. Obviously, Tua is ready to face the fire. It's the crazed fans out there who don't want Tua damaged and have to answer these questions. If that describes you, listen up. You might learn something right here.
By the way, sources say
Yeah.
that our guest list next week in Phoenix includes, on Friday,
Tua
Tagovailoa.
Boom.
How about that?
Yep.
How about that?
That's awesome.
All those people out there that think we hate him and he hates us. We don't hate him. We like him. We want what's best for him.
If Tua is okay sitting down with Mike Florio and Chris Sims and answering their questions on live TV, then he must feel somewhat comfortable doing so. And if he feels comfortable doing so, what's your problem? I hear the same thing constantly lately. As soon as you say something critical of Tua Tagovailoa, you are immediately trolled, immediately attacked, immediately vilified. How dare you speak this way about Tua? Come on, people. We're all adults here. Life isn't easy. Football isn't easy. Those of us who have podcasts and make videos and talk about football have questions that need to be answered. Nobody, no NFL player should expect to be babied. Least of all, not a first-round draft choice. Hard questioning comes with the territory. And you know what? Tua obviously gets it. It's some of the fans who don't understand that. I applaud him for sitting down with these guys.
We're trying to pierce through the chatter and the noise and get people to understand what the fundamental issue is here so that he can have a long and successful career. And he played extremely well this year.
He did.
We said that time and time again. He was an MVP candidate for part of the season.
Yep. I said the exact same thing. I made dozens of videos about Tua going all the way back to OTAs. Every week of the season, I did a live broadcast every single week called Tua Tuesdays. From day one, I've been a huge supporter of Tua Tagovailoa. But as soon as I had some questions, as soon as I started making suggestions that something wasn't right, here come the "you turned your back on Tua" people. Tua deserves props for the season he had while he was healthy. But he also deserves scrutiny, necessary scrutiny, because of how injury prone he's been throughout his career. There's a huge difference between scrutiny and your so-called hate.
And we want what's best for him, short term and long term. We're not going to lecture to him. We just want to have a conversation with him.
I have to believe that this somehow came about because of his new agent. With Brady, Rodgers, Josh Allen, and every other elite quarterback doing interviews and being out there in the media, I think an agent pulled them aside and said, "Hey, bro, you need to answer some questions." I'm sure Florio and Sims will not berate Tua, but I bet you they ask him the questions that need to be answered. I doubt this is going to be a repeat of the softball interview that Maria Taylor did with him right before he came back after the Cincinnati injury. And I bet you Tua knows that as well.
For propping him up and helping him be healthy and successful as a player, as a man, and as somebody who has many years left to live.
Let's not forget, that's what's really important. Tua is a newlywed. Tua is a new dad. Tua the man is much more important than Tua the quarterback. How many so-called fans out there care about the man and his life?
I like him too. Yeah, have I questioned some of the things football-wise about his play and that? Sure. But I'm by no stretch of the imagination I want good things for Tua. I'm rooting for his career. I know how hard it is.
You have to be able to question everything about Tua Tagovailoa. He's the face of an NFL team. He's the quarterback. He's the leader. He's the captain. Crazed fans who try to shut down anybody who has questions are actually doing a big disservice to Tua Tagovailoa. It's okay to ask why he's had no public statements since the Packers game. It's okay to ask him, how are you going to prepare for 2023 so that this shit doesn't happen again? It's okay to ask him, dude, what's been going on? Actually, it's more than okay. It's what's supposed to be done. You see, it comes with his job. Finally, it seems that Tua Tagovailoa understands that. Here's hoping one day the fan base understands it. People say I've turned my back on Tua. It's so infantile and cowardly. This has been one of my biggest issues with Tua Tagovailoa. It's been a huge issue since the Packers game. And I, for one, am extremely pleased to see him take center stage, because that's what leaders do. Doing an interview with Mike Florio and Chris Sims is a huge step and a huge accomplishment for Tua Tagovailoa. Maybe a lot of fans out there need to change their perspective, because obviously Tua has. Now, I know you're going to give me some flaming comments, but let me know what you think about Tua doing an interview with Mike Florio and Chris Sims at the Super Bowl. Talk to you soon. Fins up.
Is anybody catching on to this Barry guy?